Privet, Katila, Wandingruski desu. So, identitarianism. What is that? I know this sounds like a complicated word and everything, but deep down it embodies a very simple philosophy. And this very basic idea this encompasses the main crux of my entire worldview. And it's basically the main focus of this channel. So I wanted to make a very quick video that pushes forward what exactly this even means, breaks it down to its most basic understanding, even for a layman. And so what is it? The idea, and it's very simple. The peoples of the world have a right to their own states that they run for their own self-determination. And that's it. The human race is vast, different ethnically, culturally, religiously, linguistically, wherever we look, all around the world, we're different. And basically what that means is that since we're all different, the peoples of the world have the right to preserve what makes who they are unique. What sets them apart from the rest of humanity? Because there are no one else like them in the world. It can be broken down even further in a more simple way. Japan for the Japanese, Turkey for the Turks, Sweden for the Swedes, Mexico for the Mexicans, Poland for the Poles, and Somalia for the Somalis. These statements encompass different types of people who are different. We all recognize this from all over the world. These statements make intuitive sense. And, for example, not everyone can be a Turk, for example. The Turks are unique in their own different way. Not everyone can be a Turk. And what makes Turkey Turkish is, the Turkish people, their culture, their language, etc., etc. So it's a simple and yet very radical concept in this modern world. As we see throughout history, having a homogeneous and tight-knit community in a nation-state is one of the main ingredients for success. If we look back at our history, from the Austro-Hungarian Empire to Yugoslavia, the Russian Empire, the British Empire, the partition of India, the Ottoman Empire, all these huge multicultural and ethnic empires, they collapsed due to heightened ethnic tension. Because when you force all sorts of different types of people together, they become resentful towards each other, and it's a competition for resources and power. In modern politics, in studies of sociology, psychology, and such, and political philosophy, we understand that diversity leads to less social trust, community cohesion, and people feel atomized and alone. So that's the facts of the matter. But it's not just like a factual sense to say that homogeneous tight-knit societies create the most socially cohesive societies. As I mentioned in all my other previous videos, having a homogeneous tight-knit community is one of the best things you could do to have all your other goals, in terms of having a welfare state, in terms of achieving those big goals that society could collectively do. If you want to have we could go on and on and on. The main crux of it, though, is having a stable and a tight-knit community, a homogeneous one. But it's not just the facts of the matter. It's a right. It's a fundamental right of a people to have a nation-state that caters and runs for their values and interests, and it caters to the interests of the people living there. So you have a fundamental right to have a nation where you can express your identity. The Hungarian nation is simply an expression of the Hungarian race, and in that nation is where the Hungarians live, where they speak Hungarian, and their identity through their culture, customs, traditions, mores, architecture, etc., is all preserved and expressed. So the fundamental right to preserve who you are, that is what identitarianism is about. It's about preservation and identity. As humanity, and as a global humanity, as we're different types of people, we respect our borders and our ways of life, and we could trade and converse in good faith. But as we trade and study and work with each other, there's a fundamental underlying idea that, for example, when I visit Mongolia, it should be Mongolian, and then when I cross the border to Russia, it should be Russian. That does not mean Russians and Mongolians can't travel, study, or even work in each other's nations. It's just that the fundamental character of those nations are different and should not be altered. Another example, if you are, say, a Dane, the land of Denmark is your homeland, a homeland of the Danish race, a place for you and your children for centuries to come. The spirit of identitarianism is preservation, respect, and identity. and it is both a factual and moral basis for any self-respecting nation state. The spirit of identitarianism means you cannot feel like a stranger in your own lands. It means you can't understand and relate to your fellow countrymen. That no matter how far and wide you travel in this world, your nation will still be there for you. It will be a home you can call your own and take solace in. A place you could live among your own, that you can express who you are without fear of repercussion. The spirit of identitarianism is consistent with the human need of belonging and identity, and it is a right of all peoples of this earth. So that is the spirit of identitarianism. So aim high, wander on, from America with Russian love.